So this is Film Talk with Cary Judd and Curtis Judd, the Judd brothers. I don't know what to say now.
We're going to talk about film, and we're going to keep it short, and we hope it will have some value for each of you. How'd you go pro, Cary?
I texted you at 2 a.m. every time I couldn't figure out how to turn my camera on or where the SD card went. I have my little studio that started out as an audio production place, and Sunny, my partner, she would leave one of her DSLR cameras behind sometimes for me to play with and encourage me to play around. So an artist I was working with, we got to talking, and I was like, we should make a music video. I have a camera that I'm pretty sure I can do video with. Let's just make a music video. And I had it was a Nikon D610, and we made a video. And then I think just after that, made a video for my own band. And all I really did was post them on social media. Hey, check out the new video we made, or hey, this was fun. And next thing I know, people are calling, and I'm racing to catch up. And that's when Curtis, my big brother, started getting texts at 2 a.m. asking, how do I plug the SD card back into the computer so I can get this footage? And I think that was a little over 2 years ago. And then I eventually bought my own, or actually Sonny gave me for my birthday a D750, and then working from there. And this is a kind of a good point to make. I think like keeping your day job and then just going out and shooting. Because what ended up happening is people started calling, hey, can you do a music video? Oh, well, do this kind of video. Can you do a real estate video? And it was like, yeah, I guess I could. And so I did. And I didn't dive in head first to buy a bunch of gear. I let the gear that I had kind of pay for itself and buy the next gear. And then you'll kind of know when to quit your day job.
Because you won't have time to go to your day job.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and that happened for me when I was first started my audio studio, and then again when I started doing video, I don't do hardly any audio anymore. It's almost all video work, which I love. Mm-hmm. It's fun, it's new, and kind of refreshing, but similar.
That's interesting because it's kind of the inverse for me. I started with cameras, and I got interested in sound when you bought your. I remember when you bought your first rig, the kind of first pro audio rig, which was, I think you had the Universal Audio channel strip.
Yep, that's what. I'm talking through it right now.
Yep. And you had the Digi Design 003, I think it was, and first Pro Tools rig. Mm-hmm. You showed up at my house. You just picked it up from Guitar Center with the Neumann TLM 103, the most sibilant enhancing mic on the planet. Yep. And showed up at my house, and we spent like 3 hours downstairs in the basement trying to figure out how to get all of it to work together. Yeah. For me, that was kind of the kickoff. So I had been doing photography before that, and it was starting to do a few pro photography jobs here and there, photographing families, corporate headshots, things of that nature. And then eventually when I started getting to video, when the DSLR revolution kind of started to hit, I kind of resisted video for a while because I thought, that's awesome that you can do that. But for me, I'm really focused on photography. Although I also had this audio thing that I had an interest in, and then eventually it just kind of made sense to bring them together. Once I started doing the kind of tutorial stuff online, what I found was there's a great need for focus on audio, because there's so many guys out there talking about cameras and guys talking about technique, but there weren't a lot of people talking about production sound, and there weren't a lot of people talking about post sound either. Yeah. Except for musicians. It's all music focused.
Right. I remember having a conversation one time when you were out on the road with me about how, I can't remember what it was, but somehow it led to I'll see a video that looks great, but the sound is terrible.
Yeah, it completely ruins it. When you have good picture but really awful audio, it just it tears the user out of the story. Yeah. It really does. They have to work hard to stay in the story, whatever kind of story it is. And to be honest, I still have my day job. My day job is still, a portion of my day job is video production. The other portion is software product manager. Mm-hmm. And then I also do some freelance audio jobs from time to time. And then I do the YouTube and tutorial stuff on nights and weekends. And so for me, I still have that day job. I've got, I had the misfortune of starting later, where I had already saddled myself with a home and a mortgage. Right. So holding on to that day job is something I'm still doing, although perhaps at some point I'm probably going to have to make a decision about whether, what makes most sense going forward.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to keep the day job, or does it make sense to break off and start doing something else full time?
You're gonna quit. I can see it. I'll show up at your office and drag you out kicking and screaming.
Right, I'm sure.
But your day job is related, and I still think of audio as my day job, even though I'm doing more video. It's like, well, I'll do more audio and video settles down. It just doesn't settle down, and there's just a huge need for that kind of content. And if you can you don't need to necessarily just be the guy with the nicest camera, because you can do stuff that's fine on a pretty simple camera. I've seen videos on an iPhone that look good because they put up a couple of lights.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that you bring up a good point about gear too. There's a lot of us that are doing filmmaking as a sort of a passion side hobby kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
We come home from work and we sack out in front of YouTube and watch a bunch of gear reviews, and we get into this very dangerous mental state where I can't make films until I have that.
Right.
Or I can't do this until I have that.
Right.
That is not true. The motivation, if you really want this to be a sustained thing, the motivation has got to be, I have something to say, and I want to tell this story.
Right. Yeah, and that's how it was for me. As soon as I learned how to operate a camera, I just wanted to be out shooting all the time, and whether it was like an actual 3-act story, or just capturing an emotion from a music video, or as soon as it went to the commercial side, figuring out, I love sitting down with those people, figuring out their message, and then helping them fine tune that. And I love production days. I love shooting and I love editing, and I do stuff all the time that I'm not getting paid for, just for fun, for me, because I like doing it. And if you don't like doing it that much, if you just want to show off your gadgets,
join a camera club.
Join a camera club, yeah.
Yep.
And be happy with the camera you got, because that's the best one you have is the one in your hand, something like that, right?
Yeah. You do some real estate video too, so that's kind of a bill paying kind of proposition, right?
Yeah, and that's a great one. I'll do anywhere, busy months, I might do I've had weeks where I do 5 or 6 in a week, which is a crazy week, but that's great. It's a great thing to get into. I still enjoy doing that. I tell the story of the house. I walk through the front door and walk around the house the way that I would if I were actually seeing the house for the first time. And again, finding those kind of niches, real estate video, you can even do like local TV commercials. I'm doing some work right now with a nonprofit organization that needs web content.
Another thing that's interesting to me, and this is observation, I hope this doesn't put you on the spot or anything, but with your real estate video, one thing that's impressed me is that you didn't go out and buy a drone, because you want to have those drone establishing shots in the real estate videos. You instead did what? You hired a drone operator. Yeah,
I have a FAA certified operator who knows her way around a drone. She has she's actually flies airplanes, and why go and learn a whole new thing when she can come fly around the house in and out 15-20 minutes, hand me the footage.
Yep.
And that's another thing too, is you got to find people that you trust, or people whose work you have seen and know is going to be at a certain level of quality. And I have that, and that's another thing, and that can be a whole nother episode. Is there's a time for being a one-man band, and there's a time for producing and having people fill each role on your set, and that just depends on the scale of what you're doing.
Agreed 100%. Cool. Well, I think that is probably a good place to stop for our inaugural episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good. We've got some good subjects in the queue, so we should just keep it short. And yeah.
Right. Talk to you guys again next week.
We're the Judd brothers. This is Film Talk. See you later.
See you.